Hey, how's it going? My name is David Chen. I'm from Austin, Texas. This is the .swoosh part pixel _ final _ V3. For anyone who designs, you'll kind of understand that suffering.
And my name is Logan Moy. I'm the Senior Manager of Virtual Creation and Curation, and I had the pleasure of working with our co-creators to help turn their mood boards into AF1 creations. Do you want to tell a little bit about your design, a little bit of the backstory?
I've always been a creative kid. Fast forward a couple years, like I gravitated towards just design applications. That software really allowed me to express myself. I think when I look at my shoe, it's really an embodiment of kind of my design journey in the past 30 years of my life. You know, sketching and drawing with pencils and pens as a kid, now to that transition towards the digital age. You look at a lot of the design applications out there, you know, there's a lot of interface gray.
Yeah.
And so I knew that was gonna be the base of it. And then, you know, when you look at, you know, color theory, CMYK and RGB, you know, come together to make all colors. Now, when I look at what goes well with a gray shoe, CMYK just slaps. It just blends really well. And even though RGB is more of a digital medium, yeah, I mean, I was just like, you know what, CMYK hit.
And I feel like there was also like a deeper level of story you were telling me about, like different percentages, things like that. Can you touch on that?
Yeah. I mean, this gray is supposed to be inspired by 18% gray. So I love to do photography. And, you know, part of what I initially leaned on was if this was a shoe that I could wear, I could white balance against my own shoe.
Very cool.
I didn't want to be too loud. You know, I didn't want too many panels or too many sections of the shoe to be just like in your face colorful. You know, you look at the Air, it's got little hits of CMYK.
Yep.
The insole has a little bit of that CMYK design that you can really see when you see through some of the translucent layers. And typically I think a lot of people see CMYK when it comes to like test prints.
Yeah.
Sometimes you open up those Nike shoes, you'll see hidden away is like some of the color test prints that they did.
100%, yeah. You even mentioned the insole. Can you talk a little about that tagline that you have in there and what that means?
Yeah, I mean, don't wait, create. I think that was something that really resonated with me when I was getting ready to work on the submission for the contest. You know, it was 5 days of entry period.
Yeah.
And so it could be all too easy to just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna fire up one more game, hop into another lobby and just, you know, wait, and we'll see if the itch, you know, strikes. But
real game in hours.
Yeah, exactly. This was like, you know what, don't wait, no, seize the moment and go out there and make something for yourself. And so hopefully that inspires other people.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's so beautiful in the sense that like, that saying there is the embodiment of what led you here.
Yeah. Both on the inside of the tongue label, there's a tiny little Easter egg for folks that can see it, but it says hello world. And I think for anyone who comes from tech, comes from coding and just developing, hello world is something you do when you're kind of celebrating a big milestone. My little Easter egg, you know, hello world, this is one of the first waves of Nike virtual digital collectibles.
Yeah, and I just love that it's like you're leaned in super heavy into like tech, these tools. For anyone that's kind of in that world, I think they'll just like really appreciate how much like thought was put behind it and that meaning.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about this idea that, you know, with Nike Virtual Studios, there's so much opportunity for creators and the creator economy to kind of manifest itself.
What's that pattern on the swoosh and the heel tab?
Yeah. You know, I think as a kid, like I love gridded notebooks. There's dot notebooks, there's grid notebooks, and just the ability to be very precise about your drawing. And that really was something that helps channel a little bit more of the analog side of design. Bryce and I, you know, sat down and we're thinking about how that could come alive. Love that came through. And then if you look at the back of the heel tab, you know, I think, you know, the fact that it's a little bit more of a scribbled in period channels that like DIY modders kind of mentality. You know, when you look at the main swoosh on the side, there's another big period for the dot, and that has the kind of transform / bounding box. For anyone who, you know, spends time in this world, I think there's a lot of little tidbits that speak to someone that really comes from a design background.